Hello everybody, my name is Howie, and today I'm gonna get real with you, alright? Today I'm gonna be getting real. I'm gonna be doing a little bit of a rant. I'm gonna be, complaining about my job, my boss, among other things. Uh, Basically just a big old-fashioned rant. First things first, I'm gonna start off with, my boss. We have these things called write-ups, and basically you could consider them strikes, and usually it's considered 3 strikes, you're out. If you do something that they don't like, I mean, to an extent, like, it has to be something pretty bad, they'll say, we have to write you up, and what's gonna happen, we're gonna bring you to the office, we're gonna talk to you, we're gonna make sure you don't do it again, or we're gonna ask why it happened, what happened, you know. Say, like, the boss told you to do something, and you said no and started throwing things, or like you started breaking stuff, the boss might write you up for that. Well, I got wrote up by my boss, and I'm just gonna call him M. M wrote me up, and alright, M is my boss. I don't know if I explained that. M is my boss, and he started on as boss probably 6 months ago. I can't quite remember. And what happened is my old boss, I'll call T. T decided to quit due to the company just all around being kind of bad to him. So he quit, and M became the boss. So when M became the boss, obviously he didn't quite know what he was doing. He has been around for, like, I think 7 years. Don't quote me on that, but I think he's been around for about 7 years. So, I mean, he should know what he's doing, but obviously he wasn't great at being the boss. So we all kind of gave him a helping hand. We gave him the benefit of the doubt. We did all this stuff to help him become a better boss. But as of late, as of the last few months, he's been getting just out of hand. And what's been happening, as I'll go on here again, as he wrote me up, what happened is we have another person who I will call E. They work on a specific machine, and well, like everyone usually works in a specific area, but this person works on a machine, and they were talking about something that I didn't want to talk about. It was something very specific and something that made me feel uncomfortable. So I decided that I wasn't going to work with this person, and I decided I was going to go see if anybody else needs help. So I was walking around, and what happened is I went into what we call the back area. It would be kind of a warehouse, and I was looking around, and M walks up to me and says, "Go help E." And I said, no, they've been saying things I don't want to hear about. I'm not going to work with them, no, is what I said. And that's pretty much almost word for word. I mean, obviously not exactly, because I can't remember exactly what I said, but that's pretty darn close. And he kind of scoffed and walked away, you know. It's something that became very common, you know, so we all kind of got over it. But I decided that I might as well make myself look busy or help someone, and I found this person I'm going to call D, our assistant supervisor. Very nice guy, I love him. I think almost everyone does. But I went to go help him, and obviously it was mostly just to help somebody and make myself look busy, but nonetheless, I did it, and I was helping him. I asked him if he needed help, he said sure, and we were cleaning out stuff from a machine, and M comes back and asks me in a different phrase. I can't remember exactly what he said, but he said it differently to what he said before. And I stood up and I said to him, I said, "You just said the same thing. It's the same exact answer. It's still no." And he walked away. And what happened is later on that night he wrote me up, which, like I said, is a strike. And I didn't get called into the office until about a week later-ish, 3 or 4 days later. And what happened is I walked in. Apparently he's been telling the production manager that I was standing around doing nothing. He tried multiple times to tell me what to do, and I said no. And basically telling the production manager that I was refusing to work, and I was just going to get paid to stand around. Which I quickly debunked by telling him the story I just told you guys. And, so then, everything was pretty much solved. He kind of understood why I wasn't going to work with it. He offered a few suggestions, which, honestly, are never going to happen. He pretty much said, next time this person starts saying stuff to you that you don't want to hear, come over and tell the supervisor or the assistant supervisor, and they'll go over and tell her shut up and start working. But I know neither of them will ever do that, just because it's just so rude, and they both hate confrontation like that. And most people do, you know what I mean? You want to be a likable person. Nonetheless, he tried to offer up suggestions, which I'm not going to, put aside. I'm open to suggestions. Anyways, after all that, I thought it was going to be over, and, I was going to, just waiting for any more information to be said, and, M, the supervisor, says, what about arm sleeves, which are things that we have to wear. I'm pretty sure I complained about them before in an earlier kind of like a vlog thing. And what about stacking boxes, which is a common thing I do to help save time in case someone needs to go to the bathroom or somebody needs to go downstairs and get something. I don't run out of boxes and I don't get behind. It makes life a lot easier. And that kind of riled me up because he was picking and prodding at my work ethic yet again, making me sound like I'm doing everything wrong, not working hard enough, all this stuff. Generally giving out the hint that I am lazy, and that really tweaked me off a little. I was pretty mad, but I told, the production manager said that, oh, well, you have to wear them, you can't stack your boxes like that. But so be it. I understood. I know they're against the rules to do such things like that, but I did them anyways. And then after that, he asked if there was anything I wanted to say, the production manager. He said, is there anything you'd like to say? I said, there's lots of things I would love to say, but I feel like they would make me look bad, and it would just make my position worse, and not only that, it would harm other people, which I actually don't wish to do. I do have kind of an anger issue. I do very good at suppressing it, but there are times where I almost feel the need to just yell and punch people. But I've yet to gone that far. Nonetheless, what I was going to say, and I'm going to say some of it now, but I'm not going to say all of it, in detail, is M, the supervisor, he does things that would normally get people fired. You know what I mean? And I know all these things. I've known him long enough, and I know what he does, that I was gonna tell the production manager, but like I said, I feel like it would have made me look bad, and I don't want to harm other people, because that's not what I want to do. So, I walked out. Obviously, I wasn't happy, and I blatantly showed it, and I figured since my supervisor is going to treat me like crap, I will treat him like crap, and, things like that. And just not too long ago, and this happens a lot, is he'll tell you to do something stupid. Like tonight, he actually said to go upstairs and push boxes through a taper, because the printer for the boxes, there's a printer that prints the date and stuff onto the box, was turned off, and none of the boxes got printed on, so I need to run them through again to get the print on there. But what I told him is, we said, we shouldn't need to do that, was me and a friend that were standing and talking for a little while because we had the time. And what we said was, we shouldn't need to do that. So he's started talking smack about us, saying, oh, I guess it's a no then, and started walking away, and I got up beside him and I said, how many people are upstairs? He said 2. And I said, you said you stopped the belt? He said, yeah. And I said, why the hell should I have to go upstairs and push boxes through a taper when there's already 2 people upstairs to do it? And then he tried telling me that, well, you could go up there and get the samples and grabbed the numbers for each batch that went through. We put a number and we put a sample, kind of small details. But he told me I'd go up there and do them, and I said, well, that's a reasonable thing to say, but you were trying to make me go up there and do nonsensical stuff. Nonetheless, I went up there anyways to find out that all the boxes were already pushed through by the time I got up there, and that somebody had already taken the samples and the numbers, so I went all the way up there for no reason. Pretty much just wasting my time. And that got me kind of riled up. And then later, I was talking to a guy, nice young man, talking about the winters up here in North Dakota, because he's never been up here before. And I was just explaining it to him. We had nothing to do at the time. You know, we were just talking away. I figured we have plenty of time because we had to wait for other people to get done before we could leave. And I was just talking to him, telling him how the winters are. And M comes over and he says, oh, you guys can bag the bulk Danish. I said, okay. Just give us a minute, we can get to that. And the other guy said that he was going to go do something else real quick, and I said, that's alright. I'll go grab some bags. And what I did is I walked over to see if M was taking any of the bulk Danish out of the freezer. And he tells me to sweep the floor. I told him, you just told me to bag up the Danish. I'm not going to sweep the floor. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to bag these Danish. That's what you told me to do. So I went back and got a bag, came back, and the Danish was just left there and he was gone. So I bagged it up, but I didn't put it in the freezer because the assistant supervisor was currently in there with a forklift and I didn't want to risk it at the time. So I went off and started doing other things. Yeah. And I found out that later from a pretty good friend of mine as well, that he was actually complaining to him about me and my friend leaving from upstairs because he told us to go up there, but we had nothing to do up there, so we just left. But apparently he was complaining and calling us lazy. And I've been getting this feeling that he assumes that we are all lazy. Almost everyone on my shift, he assumes that we're lazy. And I feel like he goes and tells the production manager this, which makes the production manager assume that that's why we're not getting things done. And it really riles me up, because for some reason he has this assumption that we need to work harder and we're not working hard enough. And it just gets everyone really angry. But that aside, I'm going to go on to another subject, which is just the company in general. Our company is pretty slow working in doing things. We've been asking for raises since 2016. Late 2016 we were asking for raises and they kept saying no. They said they're working on it, we're going to get there, we're just doing the reviews and all this stuff. And they still haven't gotten to it. But what they've been doing is, there's what you would call corporate game playing, alright? Which is where you say, oh, we're going to be doing this, but they never do it kind of thing. Or, oh, we need you to do this, this, and that, you know. The corporate gameplay, you know. Lucrative, you know. It's common, I understand it. It's the fact that they could just come out and say that we can't do raises right now, or we're not going to do raises right now because it's not our priority. But the thing is the corporate gameplay I understand, but they're doing literal gameplay. Like, they're literally playing games with us. Like, we have HACCP, which is a hazard analysis control point kind of thing. Critical control point. It's a common thing for food places. It means that you are up to standards for making food products. And so we have that, and what they decided to do is they're going to, every week, print off on a piece of paper a questionnaire, an A through D kind of thing, A, B, C, D. And they're going to make us fill out a question, put it in a box, and if we get it right, they'll put our name in for a drawing to get candy. And this is true. They literally put our name in for a drawing for candy for filling out this questionnaire on HACCP. That's alright if that was all they were doing. What they started doing recently, or I guess it's already over now because it wasn't working, is they tried to make people want to stay at work by saying that if you don't leave, if you have perfect attendance for a whole month, your name will get put into a drawing, and you'll get a free paid day off. That's pretty cool, alright, it's kind of cool, but the whole point of it was to get people who have been skipping work to come in and work, but obviously it didn't work, so they canceled it. Which, it was still kind of dumb, because you had to work for a whole month, and then after that whole month of being in solid, perfect attendance, then you get the chance to win a paid day off. You don't get a paid day off, or you don't get, like a small bonus or anything. You get a chance to win that paid day off. A game. A literal game. You know what I mean? And, then we'll go on to the most recent one, which really gets my goat. This one, it feels like it's just a massive insult. What it's called is quota. Our quota meet. They're trying to get us to meet our quota. They give us a quota every day, like 10 batches of this. If you meet it, so be it. But now what they're doing is, if you can make your quota every day for a whole week, and this goes for specific production lines, like we have a bun line, we have a production line, we have a bread line, different lines, and each line has their own quota. And if your line finishes their quota, every day for a whole week, you get your name, surprise, put in for a drawing for a gift card. What really gets me, though, is night shift is usually screwed over for this, because we have to finish up what day shift is doing, so on and so forth. Small things. But what gets me is they're basically telling us we're already on mandatory overtime. We're working guaranteed 9 hours every day, but for the most part, we're working about 10, 11 hours every day. We usually leave about 1:30, 2 o'clock, sometimes a little bit later. But nonetheless, consider we're already working more overtime past the mandatory overtime where we're supposed to work. They're expecting us to work an extra hour or two above that for a chance to maybe, just maybe, win a gift card that we're never gonna use. Because we don't have a life. Because we have to work so many hours. And it feels like a slap to the face. Basically, they're saying, oh, we got a gift card, and we're giving you a chance to win it if you push yourself to the limit every day for a whole week. A chance. Once a month, we will draw a name. They'll draw the name once a month, and you get your name put in there for every full week you complete. So say Monday, you get screwed over, say we had a lot to do and we didn't get it done. The rest of the week you're screwed, you're not going to get your name in there. So you might as well not even worry about it. But if you go the whole week and then Friday you get screwed over, your name doesn't get put in there. But basically, if you stress yourself out to the, overextend yourself, they're basically saying, for night shift we would have to work an extra 2 hours to finish some of the things we have to do. Like tonight, we managed to get 6 out of the 10 batches done. And what happened is we got a late start because the morning shift decided to I didn't say decided, but they ended up not getting everything done that they needed to, so it happens a lot. They run a lot slower. I don't understand why it's just them. I'm not going to insult them for it. But I mean, they run slower, so they tend not to get their stuff done, and we have to finish it. So basically, we got screwed over tonight because we couldn't finish our quota because we had to finish day shift's quota. And what it means is we only got 6 out of our 10 batches we were supposed to get done. This basically means we would have, and we were there until 1:30 in the morning. We usually are supposed to get out at 12, but we're working on mandatory overtime, which means we get out at 1. But we were there till 1:30, and we only got 6 batches done. And what they're telling us is they want us to overwork ourselves even more to get all 10 of those batches done, which means we would be working until probably about 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning to get all of that done. For a chance. Let me clarify one more time that this isn't a guaranteed thing. It's not like you finish your quota for the week, you get a small bonus. It's you finish your quota for the week, you get a chance to win a gift card that you're never going to use. And it's really insulting. They play these games with us. They give out all these bonuses, paid days off. They give out gift cards and candy to their employees. They give us free coffee, so we should work harder. But the thing is they do all this stuff. They have all these events and games. They play these legitimate games with us. And it's insulting. But not only that, they're lucratively putting raises to the side. I haven't gotten a raise in probably about a year. Some of us haven't gotten a raise in 2 years now because of how the whole company takeover worked. But nonetheless, I've been working there for roughly about 2 years now, and I still make starting wage. Most people would quit because of that. I've decided to stay just because I have faith that they will one day give us a raise. However, they aren't. And they keep saying we're working on it, and then 3 months later, we ask them again, and they say we're working really hard on it. But they're not telling us that they're not working on it. It's not on their priority. But the thing is, they say they're working on it, but then they play all these games with us. They play these blatant games. It's not just corporate games. Yeah, they're playing those with us too. They're playing the corporate game with us, like most corporations do. But they're playing literal games. It's like a game of Saw, almost. Let's play a game, is what they're saying. And it's so aggravating. It's so... They don't care. And not only that, but I have a boss that's just blatantly pushing bullshit on us. It's so aggravating to the point where I honestly just... This is why I walk out. I've walked out a few times on work, alright? I've walked out early. I've walked out at 1 o'clock. Okay, I say early, it's not early. I leave at the designated time we're supposed to leave. I've never left before the designated time we're supposed to leave. Say we're supposed to work till 12 o'clock, I leave at maybe 12:10, alright? That's early for me. If we're supposed to leave at 1 o'clock, I leave at maybe like 1:10, alright? That's early for me. Now, I usually only leave when my boss doesn't come up and tell me that we're going to be working more than our mandatory overtime already. He doesn't tell me. He doesn't run it past me. If he just ran it past me, maybe I'd say that's okay, you know? Or maybe I'd say, maybe we shouldn't do that because a lot of people are going to get angry. Like one night. I'm going to bring another example into here. One night, we were running bread, and we're running different kinds of bread, different varieties of bread. We don't run just white bread or wheat bread. We run like pumpernickel and other things like that. Nonetheless, we were pretty far behind, which happens quite often when we have to pick up where day shift left off. And we were going along, and I assumed that this last batch was going to be our last batch, because it was going to be about 1:45 or about 12:45, and that means we'd have about 15 minutes to clean up and then go home. And what happened is I pushed everything around. I work upstairs where everything's pretty much modular. A table here, table there, and everything's on wheels. You got to move it around. And I was putting everything away, and I started cleaning when all of a sudden a bread pan falls and hits the floor. And we have a big freezer. It comes out on a belt, and it's just an open belt. And a pan hits the floor, and I look into the freezer and see that it's a big-ass freezer. It's a big spiral freezer, I guess is what you'd call it. And it takes about an hour and a half to travel up all the way to the top. And I look, and I see bread pans all the way down to the bottom of the freezer on the spiral. And it's 12:45, and the entire freezer is full, they didn't tell me I was gonna be working till 2:30 today. I would have liked to know that before it happens, but they don't tell me. So I threw stuff, went downstairs, told them I was fed up with this bullshit, and left. Because it was 1:10 at the time, I set everything back up for them because I didn't want to be too mean of a person, so I set everything up and went back downstairs and told them I was done. And I left. And, it turns out they all ended up staying till 4 o'clock. So, obviously, my leaving was totally justified because they were gonna make me work till 4 without telling me. They were just expecting me to work 3 extra hours of overtime above the mandatory hour of overtime. Yeah. It's stupid. The things that go on in this place are blatantly stupid. They do things, like I said, play literal games with us, let alone the corporate games, and all this stuff. And, my friend, which I'm sure is probably listening to this because he's probably the only person that actually watches my videos. You're listening to this rant. Tell me if you agree or disagree with any of it. Please feel free to agree or disagree. I'll probably talk to you at work on Monday, but feel free to just, tell me what you think about it. This is how I feel. This is how I've given you facts, and I've, everything I've said here is basically, I believe it's all true. Like I said, my boss doing these things, all the things I've said to my boss and all the things my boss has done to me have been true. All the things the corporation has done and the games they played with us are 100% true. And yes, I'm fed up. I'm generally fed up, and a lot of people are fed up. And the corporation they know that most of these people need this job. They're not going to find a job anywhere else. They're not going to find this guaranteed hours. But they know that we need this job, so they know they can keep screwing us over. And it's just getting really everyone's fed up. Everyone's mad. And I feel like we need to do something about it. But I don't know what to do. I'm thinking maybe a petition, and I'm seriously considering it. I'd say everyone to go on strike, but like I said, everyone needs the money, so they can't stop working. It's a terrible situation, and I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, well, mine's worse, but if your situation is worse than this, you should seriously seek out a new job. That's terrible. I've had worse jobs than this one, honestly, but the job I had before this was much worse, but this is getting out of hand. I've given my boss the benefit of the doubt. It's been 6 months and he's getting worse. He's giving attitude, he's treating us like dirt, and it's really getting to be just, everyone's fed up with it. The company's treating us like we really don't matter to them. We're just pawns in their big corporate game. And most corporations do, but then they start playing literal games with us. They tell us, stupid things, lies. They lie to our faces, and they expect us to work harder. They literally said at a meeting, and this is an actual, legitimate quote from one of the board members of this company, an actual board member. He said, "You need to give us before we can give back to you." Which, at the time, we were already working an hour overtime every day. We were giving them the best we could. We were giving them 110%. He was telling us we need to give more before they can give anything back. That really riled up a lot of angry voices. And this is all true, alright? This is all honestly true. I'm not lying to you guys. This is what's happened to me. This is what's happened to everyone else. And in my opinion, something needs to be done. And I'm probably going to do something about it. I don't know what yet. Like I said, a petition. Nobody's going to go on strike, alright? That's obvious. Like I said, they need the money. All this stuff. But something's got to be done. We need raises. Like I said, 2 years and I'm still making the starting wage. Other people, like I said, some people have gone 2 years and gotten no raise whatsoever. It's aggravating, really is, and I'm fed up. I'm totally fed up with it. And yes, I am very angry about the whole situation. I may not sound mad, but it's only because I'm talking to microphone. And I don't really have much vocal tone when I'm talking to the microphone. I don't, like, give emotion when I talk. It's something I'm trying to learn. But it needs to change. It needs to change, and I just don't know how yet. Anyways, guys, thanks for listening. If you've been here for, holy crap, the whole 30 minutes I see, thank you for listening. If you did get to the end, thanks so much for just going through this whole mess with me. If you agree with me, if you think this is a bad idea, please leave a comment and a like. I really would appreciate it. Let me know that you guys agree with me. If you don't agree with me, put down below, obviously. Tell me why I'm wrong. Tell me why this isn't a bad job. Please, just, if you got any feedback, tell me. I want to know your side of what you think you've heard. If you want to hear from somebody else, you probably won't, but, like, say if you want to hear, like, both sides of the story, if you think the corporation has something they need, that, like, there's something going on, that they're having problems, if you think that's what's going on, you know, leave your opinion below, please. I want to see everyone else's opinion on this situation. And thanks for watching. This has been Hatway. I actually hope you all have a wonderful day. Bye.